According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, over 400,000 children are reported missing every year. Timothy James Pitzen was only 6 years old when he disappeared in 2011, under very bizarre circumstances. This is his story. Timothy Pitzen was a 6-year-old boy from Aurora, Illinois, who disappeared in May 2011.
Near, 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 near. Who's knocking on my door? Near, 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 near.
He was born in Aurora, Illinois, on October 18, 2004, as the only child of James Pitzen and Amy Joan Marie Fry Pitzen. Timothy was a friendly and outgoing child who enjoyed making new friends and was well liked by his peers. He was also said to have a close relationship with his mother. His family and friends described him as a happy, energetic child who loved playing and spending time with his loved ones. On May 11, 2011, Timothy's father, James Pitzen, dropped him off at his kindergarten class at Greenman Elementary School. About 45 minutes after he was dropped off at school, Timothy's mother, Amy, arrived at the school and unexpectedly checked Timothy out of class. She told the staff at the school that there was a family emergency, and that was why she was picking up her son early from school. But that was not true. According to Amy's husband, no such emergency had occurred in the family that day. He stated that he had frantically called and texted Amy's phone, but his calls and messages went unanswered. Surveillance footage from inside the school showed Amy leading Timothy out of the front doors by the hand. After picking up her son from school, Amy dropped her vehicle off at a car repair shop that morning. An employee of the car shop recalled driving Amy and Timothy to the Brookfield Zoo. Amy and Timothy returned later that afternoon from their trip to the zoo to pick up their vehicle from the auto shop. Amy then took Timothy to the Key Lime Cove Indoor Water Park Resort in Gurnee, Illinois, where they later spent the night. The following day, May 12, 2011, Amy and her son drove to Kalahari Resorts in Wisconsin. They were spotted on security footage in the checkout line at the resort around 10 a.m. the next morning, May 13. Investigators believe the pair also traveled through Racine and Johnson Creek. Amy took Timothy on a 3-day trip that included visits to water and amusement parks. During this period, she maintained contact with family members, but she did not contact her husband. Timothy's father reported him missing in a desperate attempt to locate him, as he had not heard from Amy. He said that he had kept calling her, but she still wouldn't respond to him. Between 12 p.m. and 1:30 p.m. on May 13, 2011, Amy telephoned several members of her family, including her mother and brother-in-law. She reassured them that she and Timothy were in no danger and were safe. Timothy was heard in the background during the calls, saying that he was hungry. Cell phone records showed that Amy made the calls from an area northwest of Sterling, Illinois, near Route 40. Meanwhile, her husband had been frantic, trying to locate her and their son. On that fateful May day, the school informed him that Timothy was not present when he arrived to pick him up at the end of the school day. At 7:25 p.m. on May 13, 2011, Amy was seen alone, this time without her son, Timothy. She was observed on security cameras at a Family Dollar store in Winnebago, Illinois, where she had purchased a pen, notepaper, and envelopes. Later that evening, around 8 p.m., she was spotted at Sullivan's food store in Winnebago, again, unaccompanied by her son. That night, at 11:15 p.m., Amy checked into the Rockford Inn in Rockford, Illinois. Sometime during the night or the next morning, Amy would take her own life by slashing her wrists and neck, and overdosing on amphetamines. The next day, on May 14, 2011, a hotel maid discovered Amy's body at 12:30 p.m. She had committed suicide. Timothy was not in the room with her. At the time her body was discovered, investigators said that they had been chasing down leads in Iowa and Wisconsin in the search for Timothy and Amy. Dan Farrelly, a spokesman for the Aurora police, stated at the time that investigators did not believe that Amy intended to harm her son. Amy left a lengthy suicide note in her hotel room, in which she allegedly apologized for the mess she had created. She explained in the letter that Timothy was safe, with people who would care for him, but that he would never be found. True to her words, no trace of Timothy has been found in more than a decade. In her final moments of life, Amy wrote the suicide note to explain to her family back home why she decided to take her own life, assuring them that nothing they could have done would have been enough to change her mind. Police later found the knife that Amy had used to kill herself. It contained only her blood. However, Timothy's blood was discovered in a concerning amount in his mother's vehicle. Later, a family member revealed that the blood stains were likely the result of a nosebleed Timothy experienced in the car earlier that month. An examination of Amy's vehicle revealed that, at some point, the car had been parked in a grassy area, possibly near a stream, but close to a highway. Her cell phone was also missing. In 2013, Amy's cell phone was located beside Route 78, but the discovery did not bring any new evidence to the case. According to the police, the cell phone was found alongside the road on Illinois Route 78, north of Mount Carroll, Illinois. Unfortunately, Timmothy Pitzen has not been seen since. Despite extensive searches by law enforcement and private investigators, Timothy has never been located. He remains missing. Amy took her own life and, with it, the secrets about Timothy's fate and whereabouts. Timothy's father is heartbroken, but he maintains hope that his son is still alive. After Timothy vanished, his father moved away from the family's original home in Aurora, Illinois. He moved to Clinton, Iowa. At his home in Iowa, Jim Pitzen is a father surrounded by memories of his lost son. His living room walls are frozen in better times, with framed pictures of Timothy as a baby, up until age 6 when he disappeared. James Pitzen later told People magazine that he needed a lot of therapy in order to understand his wife's illness, and to forgive her. He later revealed that Amy had told him early in their relationship that she had struggled with depression. He said that in 2003, he got a call saying that his wife had been sitting on the edge of a cliff while taking some pills. Jim said that Amy subsequently fell asleep and rolled off the cliff. He added that Amy had also gone missing for periods of time in the past. A few months before Timothy vanished, Amy had allegedly taken 2 unexplained trips into the Illinois countryside. Investigators believed this was evidence that Amy had been planning the abduction of her son for months. Between the surveillance images and Amy's cell phone data, investigators were left with very little else to work with in their hunt for Timothy. Police had thousands of miles of open land between the motel where Amy took her life and the furthest location she was known to have been. On April 3, 2019, local residents in Newport, Kentucky called the police to report a teenager wandering the streets after running across a bridge over the Ohio River.
His last name is Pitzen, P-I-T-Z-E-N.
A little boy taken. Then years later, a young man found.
He had this child who said he ran away. He said he was kidnapped.
Developments in the disappearance that stunned the area.
8 years after Timothy's disappearance, a chilling call to 911. 342 miles away, on the border of Ohio and Kentucky.
This is a mystery which may have just taken a stunning turn.
The incredible story came from the border of Ohio and Kentucky. A frantic young man said he'd been kidnapped years ago, and his name was Timmothy
He said he
Pitzen.
was kidnapped, and we found it. It looks like back in 2011 he was kidnapped.
When police found the shaken and distraught boy, he told them he was the missing boy, Timmothy Pitzen. He said he had escaped captors as a victim of sex trafficking. That later proved to be untrue. DNA tests revealed that his name was actually Brian Michael Reaney of Medina, Ohio. He wasn't a kid. He was 24 years old at the time, and had been released from Belmont Correctional Institution in Ohio, less than a month prior to his claim. He had served about 14 months on charges of burglary and vandalism out of Medina County. According to his brother, Brian Reaney had a history of mental illness and had been diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome and bipolar disorder. In 2020, Reaney was sentenced to 2 years in prison, after pleading guilty to charges of aggravated identity theft related to the Timmothy Pitzen hoax. After the hoax was uncovered, Pitzen's family said in a statement, "Unfortunately, this child is not our beloved Timothy. We know you are out there, Tim. And we will never stop looking for you and praying for you." The case of Timmothy Pitzen remains unsolved, and authorities continue to investigate leads and follow up on tips in the hopes of finding him. A 500-mile, 3-day road trip with his mother resulted in her suicide and Timothy's disappearance. This bizarre unsolved case continues to baffle detectives and investigative communities. Timothy's disappearance remains a mystery, and there have been no credible sightings or leads on his whereabouts since he went missing. On the 10-year anniversary of his disappearance in 2021, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children released a new age progression image, showing what Timothy might look like. His cheeky smile and sparkling eyes seem to penetrate through the photograph, giving officers and the world a glimpse of the boy they're seeking. The police and Timothy's family are requesting that the public examine the photo of Timothy's age progression and keep their eyes and ears open for any information that could lead them to him. Investigators hope that the new age progression photo will help someone recognize the missing boy. "I believe we're going to keep going until we find him, regardless of what that means," Aurora Police Department Lieutenant Gregory Spaeth said, on the 10-year anniversary of Timothy's disappearance. "If he's alive or if he's deceased, we owe that to the family to investigate until we find him," he said. Please contact the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children if you have any information about Timothy's whereabouts. Their number is 1-800-843-5678. You may also call the Aurora Police Department's Timmothy Pitzen tip line at 630-256-5516. Any information, no matter how small, could be vital in helping to bring Timothy back home to his loved ones. Thank you for watching.